We are here for the final month of 2024, and this is a TBR for December, which will also be a themed month. Winter Wonderland, just like October was themed, and just like April was themed. So this month is Winter Wonderland. We will be discussing all poems and short stories that have to do with the winter, with snow, with some element of the cold, except for the, I believe, 4 chapters of Frankenstein, which will be read during this month. And I know, guys, I did not get to the Carrie review. The review of Carrie by Stephen King is coming. I'm trying to do something very new, very different, very maybe sort of, I hope to be a leap forward for what book reviews can be on YouTube. Now, whether or not I can actually execute that is something different, but I'm going to call them Black Label reviews. And hopefully they make, they make reviews of books on YouTube that are done right now look pedantic. That's my hope, that's my dream, that's my aspiration. Carrie will now most likely be the second in that series because I will be doing a review, hopefully, I know, guys, this month for Christmas Carol, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I almost said Charles Darwin, by Charles Dickens. Much different Christmas Carol. Much different idea of ghosts as well. I think I can get ahead in this month's production, much like I did for this month, and actually get that video made. Anyway, let's get into it, guys. Today we are on the December TBR here, so that is what is today. Tomorrow we will have a Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Probably the 3rd or 4th discussion on that poem on this channel, so I will do my best to have something interesting to say. Now, you will have noticed last month we ended with a flurry of Ernest Hemingway short stories that were unscheduled on the November TBR. Here's why. A Simple Inquiry is a short story from Ernest Hemingway that has elements of winter in it. So I felt okay putting that one on the December Winter Wonderland TBR. The Ernest Hemingway read-along series on the channel is going better than I had hoped. I think that it is something, most of these short stories I'm going through for the 3rd, 4th, 5th time, but even the ones that I've only read once or twice, I think that I have enough experience with Hemingway now to make some deeper level observations and maybe compare them to other texts, things like that. So I'm having a lot of fun with the Ernest Hemingway read-along series. Hopefully you are too. Then we will have on the 4th, Chapter 8 from Frankenstein. Not winter-themed, but it is a novel that we are going through, and I am not abandoning it, as I have abandoned so many projects in the last little while, which I will get back to, by the way. I just have to... So one of the things that I'm struggling with here is just the daily grind of things. This is... If you see a 10-minute video on my channel, it takes at least an hour and a half to make. Some far more even than that. So this has been daily. I am going on. My goal is to get to 2 years. At the 2-year point, we will actually be at the beginning of National Poetry Month. So it will be 25 months consecutive because I will go through National Poetry Month if all things go according to plan. And then I will cut back on the uploads and focus more deeply on exactly what it is that I am going to post on the channel, as opposed to trying to get as much of everything done as possible. On the 5th, we will have Shakespeare's Sonnet 2. A lot of sonnet talk on the channel for William Shakespeare, but I'm going to try to take a little bit of a different approach for these sonnets this time. Winter Dreams by F. Scott Fitzgerald, the short story on the 6th of December. Then to A Wreath of Snow by Charlotte Bronte. I can never say it right. No matter how close I think I'm saying it, people tell me that I'm saying it wrong. So, To a Wreath of Snow on the 7th. On the 8th, The Snowman by Wallace Stevens. Whoops. This is not Frost at Midnight by Wallace Stevens. It is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So, one second here. Wallace Stevens, I've done a couple Wallace Stevens poems on the channel. A poet that always makes me work in order to get an interpretation for, but maybe not to, does not obfuscate his poetry too terribly much. I think that there is definitely something to be gotten out of a Wallace Stevens poems on the first read, and that is something that is difficult to accomplish when you are someone who writes as deep poetry as he does. Frost at Midnight on the 9th by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Zero experience with this poem. ChatGPT Omni 4 suggested it to me, so I went ahead and ran with that suggestion. Hopefully it's a real poem. ChatGPT previous iterations have had difficulty actually giving you real poems as opposed to just made up poems with real authors attached to them. So we will see there. On the 10th of December, we will have The 10th of December by George Saunders. That is the final short story in the George Saunders playlist, the 10th of December playlist here on the channel. A playlist that surprisingly has done pretty well by the numbers. So I'm not sure exactly where that fervor, if you will, is as far as George Saunders is concerned, because I've never met anyone on the street that had read or even heard of George Saunders. So interesting that there are, it seems, literary circles on YouTube itself. On the 11th, Frankenstein Chapter 9. We are marching right through. I believe there are 24 chapters in Frankenstein, so we will finish that up. If we get to, I think, 11 here, you're looking at 15, 19, January, February, March-ish finishing up. I may have to try to get that in quick before National Poetry Month in April, but we will see. Shakespeare Sonnet 6 on the 12th. As I said, we will have a few from Shakespeare. We are keeping with the winter theme, so long as the sonnet does have winter/snow/cold scenes or themes, we will keep with it. And then on the 13th, Dust of Snow by Robert Frost, another poem which I have not read, but I am looking forward to. On the 14th, 10th of December, 5 Thoughts. I have a series of videos on the channel, 5 Thoughts on X, 5 Thoughts on Y. That is going to be the latest in the 5 Thoughts series. I have a couple already thought up, but I don't have very much outlined for those ideas, nor do I have the other 3 ideas for it. The 15th, The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. This will be the first time O. Henry appears on the channel. Everyone, I think, kind of knows this short story, and if you don't, you do. You just don't know it by name. On the 16th, Shakespeare Sonnet 97. Again, another Shakespeare with overtones of winter involved. Frankenstein Chapter 10 on the 17th. A Nocturnal upon St. Lucy's Day by John Donne on the 18th. A John Donne with which I am not familiar. On the 19th, on the 19th, I start a little bit of a Christmas present to myself. It Sifts from Leaden Sieves by Emily Dickinson. On the 20th, Snowflakes by Emily Dickinson. Might actually be Snowflake. I may have mistyped that. Then on the 21st, Like Brooms of Steel by Emily Dickinson. On the 22nd, Winter is Good, His Horror Delights, not how it sounds, by Emily Dickinson. On the 23rd, The Snow That Never Drifts by Emily Dickinson. The 24th, The Flake That Exasperates by Emily Dickinson. And then on the 25th, on Christmas Day itself, A Christmas Carol review by Charles Dickens. The review's not by Charles Dickens, but the book certainly was. This is in effort, this little run of Emily Dickinson is not just a Christmas present to myself. It is an effort to make sure that I get a Christmas Carol review done in time. Like I said, I want to make sure that I am doing good work on these reviews. That is why I have delayed on the Carrie review, etc. So hopefully everything can come together for me and I make an actual compelling video for that A Christmas Carol review. On the 26th, The Snowstorm by Ralph Waldo Emerson. On the 27th, it's another poem. On the 27th, Frankenstein, Chapter 11. On the 28th, The Ice Palace by F. Scott Fitzgerald. On 29, To Build a Fire by Jack London, one of my personal favorites, so we will get back to that. On the 30th, Two Travelers Perishing in Snow by Emily Dickinson. And then on the 31st, we will cram the January TBR into the back end of December. We will also have 2024 Year in Review. I believe I'm going to put those all on the same video so that it is not kind of redundant. But on the channel, we've done a lot of work this year. So if you have been here for all of those things, thank you. And I am glad to have had your presence here. Now, let's talk a little bit about the month overall. There are going to be 17 poems added to the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel. There are going to be 6 short stories added to the short story discussion playlist. This will take the total number of videos in the short story discussion playlist over 100. So that is a very big milestone for me. The 17 poems in this month are bringing the poetry discussion playlist closer to 600, I believe. Let me check real quick on the actual numbers to see if I can get the real count here. Right now, 577 videos in the poetry discussion playlist. This would take us to 8494 poetry discussion videos. In January, we should cross the 600 poetry discussion playlist, video playlist here on the channel. So that is a lot of work that has gone into that. There will be 4 novel chapters getting us to chapter 11 of Frankenstein. That is, we will be approaching halfway through the novel. We will have the halfway through the novel point in January, the first week of January. So that, for whatever that's worth, there are 2 procedural videos. That is basically just the both of the TBRs that will take place in the month of January. There's one discussion, the discussion for 10th of December by George Saunders. And finally, the novel review of A Christmas Carol. Now, this is going to be actually less content-specific work than I think I have done in almost 2 years now because of the 2 procedural videos which will occur in the same month here on the channel. The 17 poems, which will get us to 594 poems, are interesting. There are a lot of them which are appearing on the channel for the first time, and make of it what you will, but the idea of having a 600 video playlist, each video dedicated to a poem, I think there's one in there that's not. It was the 100 poetry discussion playlist celebration, where I celebrated getting over the 100 poetry discussion playlist mark. That didn't have a specific one poem involved, but there were plenty of poems read on that video, in that video, however you want to say it. So, look, a lot of stuff coming to the channel. We are building towards having actual Black Label reviews. If you have suggestions on what to read in January, for sure let me know. I will definitely be continuing with the Hemingway read-along. I will be definitely doing poetry every Monday. I will be definitely doing I will definitely be doing Frankenstein. Outside of that, that's probably 3 days a week there. I am not opposed to taking on another short story collection or a writer. We will get back to the Shirley Jackson uh, Let Me Tell You collection and to the William Faulkner collection. So that's 5 actual series that will definitely be carrying on in the month. So anyway, guys, that's what I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel. Dropping multiple videos every single week. There's poetry every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.